when you've given a speech many, many times, it can be challenging to keep it fresh. And as you sit up there, you stand up there giving that speech to the audience, you start thinking, man, I've done this thing so many times. I'm bored with it. I'm not interested. I'm not really engaged. I'm really that interested in it. It's really not that interesting. And then sometimes you start thinking that, you start to second guess yourself and thinking, it's not interesting at all. It's kind of a boring speech. It's just not really gonna be that good. And I've done it so many, many times, and I don't know, I think they like it. Maybe they like it. I don't know. Well, the problem is you're thinking these things through, your audience starts thinking the same thing. Because there's a connection between you, the speaker, and the audience. And when you start feeling something on stage, your audience feels that. Maybe you've experienced that in life in general, where somebody's really upset, and you discover just by being around them, you get more upset. You had that happen? Maybe somebody's really happy, and you find by being around them, you just feel happier. You had that happen. Well, those are the sort of things that happen to a speaker in the audience. Whatever feeling you have, pretty soon the audience has. And if it's a feeling you don't want the audience to have, then that causes problems. Causes real problems. And it means that your speech just doesn't sound genuine. The audience starts thinking, I don't know, there's something about this speech that's not really working for me. It's not really that interesting. It's not really that good. And as you, the speaker, sense you're losing your audience, you think, what's happening? And you can feel them kind of moving away from you. And as they're moving away from you, you're kind of moving away from it too. And pretty soon, nobody's really that involved with or interested in the speech you're giving there on stage. And it happens when your speech just doesn't feel that fresh, that interesting, that engaging. You start to second guess and doubt yourself. And that happens a lot. Because if you're doing serious speaking, whether it's as a professional speaker or just in business, you probably have some set speeches. You just kind of do the same thing over and over again. And if you don't have any way to keep it fresh, then that's what it sounds like, the same thing over and over again. And if you get bored with it, your audience is going to get bored with it. So the challenge is, how do you keep it fresh? How do you say the same thing over and over again in such a way that it's not really the same thing over and over again? How do you take a set speech and make it sound more interesting, more engaging, and more pulling the audience in? Somehow it engages the audience and pulls that audience in. How do you do that? And there is a way to do that. There's a definite way to do that. And it involves thinking about your speech in a little bit of a different way. It involves taking your speech that you have and you've written and you've kind of laid out and being a little bit more flexible with it in the right places and doing the right things. So instead of being just kind of some sort of rote thing you say blah, 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 somehow it becomes an interesting thing. Interesting thing was you give the speech, you become more interested in it. As the audience hears the speech, they become more interested in it. And it's a simple, effective thing you can do. And it will pull the audience in. It will get them more engaged. It's a series of steps you go through. And each step is a different way to kind of get you more into the focus and more into things going to you finally doing what you need to be doing. But it involves changing your mind about a set speech. The speech is set in stone, it's just the way it is, to being a little bit more flexible about it, more creative about it. And so today you're going to find out about how to take that set, planned, set in stone speech, open it up a little bit, and find a way to bring the audience with you, get them engaged and interested in what you're saying. First thing to start with is your approach to the speech. Now, although you are doing a set speech, a speech that you've gotten kind of all scripted out and ready to go, still, there's something you need to do right at the very beginning, kind of changing your approach to the speech. Because even the most set speech doesn't have to be that set. Because if everything is set exactly all the way through, well, then the audience is not going to be interested. They're just not going to get into that. But if you think about it a different sort of a way, taking that set speech and open it up just a little bit, then you can make it so it can engage, so it can entertain, so it can pull in that audience. It involves in twisting and changing the way you think about a set speech. Think about it just a little bit differently. Because the question is, what is it you want to customize? Customize. Even in the most set speech, where you've got everything kind of laid out what you want to do, it's kind of the same sort of thing. What is it that you can get in that speech to customize, to change, so it's going to get your audience interested. It's going to pull them in. It's going to get them engaged. Now, of course, you don't redo the entire speech. If you have the chance, of course, you do a different speech every time you're in front of a different audience, and maybe you can do that. But most likely not. Most likely you have a set speech, you know what's going on it, you know what the parts are involved with it, you know how it's all going to fit together. And all you really need to do is customize that speech in some way so it's going to get people involved and interested. I mean, think back on the things that really kind of engaged you or interest you. Would you be interested in somebody just coming up to you and saying, "Hi, you. How are you doing? Nice to meet you"? Probably not. You expect your greeting to have a little bit of customization to it. When someone greets you, sure, it's the same sort of format maybe. Hi, blank, how are you doing? But you kind of expect them to fill in the blank. You expect them to customize that greeting. So it's still the same greeting. Still the same sort of stuff. It's a set template, just like your speech is a set template, so the greeting is a set template. But you customize it. You customize it. And that changes things. You customize it, all of a sudden, instead of being kind of a set, boring sort of thing, all of a sudden it opens it up. And that's the power of customization. When you customize something, it makes it so the audience feels that, hey, this is just for them. The audience starts thinking, this speech is just for them. It's just the speech you've done, and it's for these people because you've customized it. Now that's an effect. Eventually you can create a speech just for the audience, great, but most likely you can't. Most likely you have some set things you're doing fine, but create that just for them feeling. If your audience thinks, wow, this really gets me, this really connects, this is there, this is customized for me. Well, that's an audience that's going to follow you along. Have you noticed that when someone takes an interest in you, you take an interest in them? Someone wants to find out about who you are, what you're doing. All of a sudden you're thinking, hey, this person's interesting. Indeed, there are some times where just having somebody who is interested and involved and listening to what you say can really pull you in and really get you involved and really get you feeling like you're doing this great communication because they're interested in you. Customize their approach for you. They know, they're aware of you. You aren't just, whoever you are, whatever. No. They're aware of you. They're talking to customize that speech for you. It isn't just, hi you, it's hi with your name. Simple customization. Hi, name, how are you doing today? Customize. When you customize, that definitely engages people. Because there's something special that happens when you customize. Customize, there's something really special that happens. That makes things in your speech better. All right. You decided, okay, Tim, I get it. I'm going to customize. You're fine with that. Good. And you'll discover once you do that, something happens. Something amazingly happens, and all of a sudden that boring speech you're given changes into something else. And there's a different feeling about it, a different sense about it. And this is what can take that boring old speech you've given over and over again and turn it into something new. This customization is more than just customizing things. It's great, but it has an effect on the speaker. It even has a special effect on the audience. It goes beyond just customization. The audience gets a sense of this speech that's really very special, very personal. Because the audience starts to feel like it's the first time. They feel like it's the first time. You ever been with someone and they said, "Oh, this is the first time I'm trying this"? And you get that sense that as they go through it, they're kind of discovering something kind of amazing, kind of interesting. If you learned to ride a bike, not saying you did, but if you did, think back the first time you actually rode that bike. What an amazing feeling that was. An amazing sense of, wow, I'm really doing it. I'm really riding the bike. It's not falling over. I'm going forward. The bike's going forward. How we're going to stop? I don't know, but the bike's moving. This is good. It's that first time. And if you can give your audience that first time experience, if they feel like this is the first time you're doing this, not because you're doing it so bad that they think, the guy hasn't practiced at all, but they get that freshness, that same feeling of the first time they're riding the bike, the same feeling of something being given. It's a first time special freshness. That'll engage your audience. And equally important, that'll engage you. If you customize something so you start feeling it, it's the first time you're doing it, you start to get that first time feeling, then that'll take that boring set thing you're doing and turning it into something else. It'll turn into something and, wow, this is really good. This is really fun. I enjoy doing this for the 3,000th time. And you can do it 3,000 times because it feels like that first time, because it's customized. Customized for your audience and also customized for you. And so as you start feeling, wow, this is special, this is unique, this is this great audience, the first time I've been with this audience, the first time I've been up here, the first time, it just starts feeling like you put yourself in that whole first time mindset. And it just transforms you up there on stage. All of a sudden, instead of saying, oh, this thing again, and it over and over and over again, you start thinking, oh, wow, this thing, yeah, and this audience, and this time, and right here. And there'll be no other time except for this one time here. Even if you're giving a speech to the same audience. Even if. It's still a first time of giving it the speech at that time. Every time you give a speech is unique. So if you're giving that speech to the same audience again, okay. You can still have that sense of, they get that sense of, oh, to say it's the same freshness as when I heard it the first time. It's even better if you're giving a speech to different audiences, because it's the first time they hear it. It's something to keep in mind when you're giving speeches. Don't think, oh, I've done this thing over and over again. Think probably there's someone out here in the audience who has never heard this before. And it's maybe the last time they hear it. I've got one chance to get this across to them. This is their first time. I wanted to make it special for them. Keep that in your mind and it just opens up all sorts of possibilities. And those possibilities are what's going to make everything possible to really make that speech pop for your audience. Well, now you know you need to customize. Even if you've done a speech over and over and over again, you need to customize that speech for that audience. Customize it somehow in some way, because that'll make that speech special. And then even beyond being special, it makes it like that first time. It gives that first time freshness to it for your audience and for yourself. You start feeling the same sort of way you felt as when the first time you rode a bike and all of a sudden you were just sailing along. You were really doing it. That sort of feeling over and over again, regardless of how many times you've given your speech. And that freshness for your audience, of course, turns into freshness for you. That first time freshness, that excitement, that invigorousness. And all of this adds up to creating that audience connection. Audience connection. Once you keep in your mind the idea of, okay, I've got to go out there and customize this speech. And I want to make it feel like this first time I'm giving it. And you can start to create that audience connection. What are the different things you can do to make it special for this audience? There's so many different ways to create that audience connection. Simple way is to simply mention where you are. Mention your location. If you're in Philadelphia, say, glad to be here in Philadelphia today. Just that much. People in Philadelphia say, hey, Philadelphia, yeah, my city, woohoo! Creates that freshness, that first time feeling. And even further than that, sure, you can mention where you are, but if you know something special that happened, that's a great thing too. If you know something special that happened in where you are and with who you're meeting, the better you know your audience, the more you can customize things for them. If you know that there's a person out there who's very well known and did some amazing work here in Philadelphia, let's say Philadelphia turned out to be the top seller of all the companies. You say, hey, it's great to be in Philadelphia where they have the top seller of all the companies everywhere, around the world. Good job, Philly. Wow. People are going to feel special. You'll feel special. And it'll be that first time feeling because you couldn't give that speech, say, in Chicago. Wouldn't make any sense. This is a special Philadelphia-only speech that mentions Philadelphia-only skills and abilities and things that they did well. And your audience will start feeling, yeah, you get us. You know us. You understand us. Another way to customize a speech is just, what's a current event going on that relates to everybody out there? What's a current event going on people know about and understand? Start taking a look through your different newspapers. If you're a business place, maybe it's the Wall Street Journal. Just for casual sort of place, any newspaper will do. What's the big news out there in the headlines? What are the things your audience is thinking about as you're on stage that's going on in the news that they're thinking about and you can really connect with them? What's going on in the news right now that connects with what you're going to be talking about? It's another way to customize things. If something special happens in the news that day, you have me talking about it, here you go. If you're planning to giving a talk about tax breaks and how they're going to work, and you're giving a talk, you talk about the new tax cuts. So, well, the new tax cuts, a lot of people concerned. They're not certain whether or not they're going to get a benefit from them. But actually, you probably will, depending upon which price category you're in. And you'll find that there are a lot of things you can do actually to still get some deductions. Some deductions have changed, some deductions are the same, but you're still going to be able to get your deductions. Wow. It's customized. It's a speech you're giving because the tax breaks just went through for that audience right then. So think about different ways to customize and make that audience connection. Everything should be audience focused. Maybe there's a name of somebody. Mention somebody's name just as like you like to have your name. People out there love to have their name mentioned. So I was talking to Paul before the start of the meeting. Whoa, Paul feels special now. That's all about making that audience connect. One of those old old chestnut speeches can get pretty old pretty fast if you don't do something. So the first thing to think about is, how do you customize the speech? How are you going to customize that speech so the audience starts feeling that it's different, it's unique, special? How do you customize that speech? What are you going to do to that speech that really starts bringing lives? People think, okay, yeah, all right, hey. Customize the speech not only just to get the audience, but to get you interested in it. There's something in that kind of keeps you, so it's not just drawing through the same stuff. There's something customized. There's something different. Like I'm going to pop in a little bit here and pop in a little bit there. That'll keep you alert and awake, keep your audience alert and awake. Customization is so important. And the type of customization should create the effect that it feels like the first time. It should feel like the first time up there. Audience should have that feeling like, yeah, this is that freshness of the speech. It's like the first time an audience gets it. It's like, this is just for you. This is the first time and last time a speech is going to be given. It's just specially for you. And the first time also is from your own point of view. So when you're given the speech, it's like, okay, this feels like it. It feels like that first time I got this speech all together and I worked everything out and I did it. It was fresh and wonderful. They loved it. Okay, I want to capture that feeling again. So when you go out there and give it, it's not like you're giving it 300 times. It's like you're just giving it then for that first time. Everything clicks, everything works. You know the speech backwards and forwards and everything works. But as you discover it, as you unveil it, you give it your all. Because maybe for somebody out there, it is their first time. And it may be the first and the last time that person has to hear that speech. And finally, all this builds up to audience connection. Audience connection. Create a connection between you and your audience. That's the whole thing. So customize it. Make that feel like the first time, so you create that connection. It could be as simple as mentioning names in your audience. Talk to people beforehand, and then mention, hey, I talked to Paul beforehand. He had a great idea. As you'll see later on. Talk about that. Talk about the place where you are. Great to be in Philadelphia. Great to be here in Chicago. Wherever it is. Get the name of the place right, how to pronounce it right. Put it right into your speech. Great way to customize and bring things along. To get people involved, get people interested. Customize it with special data. Current events that are going on that affect everybody out there and has to do directly with your speech. It also gets that feeling is happening. If news breaks that day, hey. If you're giving a speech about how to handle taxes, and it's on the day that the new tax cuts are announced, mention that. Put that in there. And once you start doing this, once you start customizing it and creating things like to feel like the first time for your audience, you'll discover a whole new response. Your audience will be engaged, really interested, involved. You will be engaged, really interested, and involved. You'll discover those boring speeches you had in the past just aren't so boring anymore. Now you've customized them. Now you're bringing the audience in. Now they get it. And you start thinking, yeah, there's something here. This is good. This is good stuff. And the people, it's the first time they've heard it. They will never hear it again. The message sinks in. Because it's customized. It's for them. And they get that. They say, oh, yeah, this is for me. This is for me here in Philadelphia, sitting here on this day, on this date, with these people around me. Yeah, this speech is just for me. You do that, you open up a whole new richness in your speech. You open a whole new connection to that audience. Because this customization, this first time feeling, really makes everything work. It opens up you, it opens up your audience, and then you get that emotional connection. When you feel excited about your speech, your audience feels excited about your speech. And from then on, it's just onward and upward. Build and develop and grow that emotion. So you want to really make that speech happen, want to really get interested in it. Remember, customize your speech, make it feel like the first time, and then create that audience connection.